Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Nine Hole Podcast with David and Ian. David, what's going on, dude?
Hey, buddy. It's been a minute.
I know it has, man. What's been going on with you? What's new?
Just busy, work stuff. Got to go to Dallas for this big sales training starting, tonight. I'll be driving down there.
Ooh,
I'll be there for 5 days, and it's like super intense and competitive, and like they list the rankings every day, and I'm like in third right now, and
this is for sales?
yeah. Well, like no, it's like so like we get tested and we're quizzed on all the information we're learning, and the first 3 days were virtual, so we had some quizzes online, and yeah, it's just a lot. Still trying to do my job on the side and then keep up with baseball lessons and clinics and stuff like that. But what about you?
For sure. No, I get it, dude. I've just been hanging, man. Just been grinding. Just been doing the dad thing, right? Trying to figure that out one day at a time, man. But yeah, everything's good. Did you see any of this? I guess there was a fight last night. The Logan Paul and that YouTuber, the famous
Yeah,
YouTuber,
I got a
fought.
buddy that's super into him. I didn't watch. Did he win?
So I guess Logan Paul won by decision, dude. So there
Okay,
was like this big hype. Man, this fucking mic.
he's huge right now,
Yeah,
like
he's a
muscular
big
wise.
boy. He's a big boy. I don't know, who knows if it's all natural, but
Probably not.
supposedly they were just throwing pillows, dude. Throwing pillows back and forth, and they went the
Really?
distance, right? 6 rounds, throwing pillows, dude. Those big boys. Yeah, and they didn't hurt each other, and then it came to a decision, and that's it. And everybody was kind of like let down, and yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of hype leading up to it, so it kind of stinks
There's
that.
definitely a part of me that respects those brothers because they came. They started the YouTube stuff before like anyone was doing it, and came from nothing, like the suburbs in Ohio, I think. I don't know, but
Oh, I
they're
don't know.
worth multi-millionaires. They've traveled around the world. They're like, hey, I'm going to be a boxer. Hey, I'm going to go do WWE. I'm going to start my own podcast. I'm going to whatever. Like,
Yeah,
if they put their mind to it, they're going to do it. So I respect that, but I don't know how good of
yeah, good point.
role models they are.
Yeah, good point there. I like that. Did you see? So, did you watch any college football? So I saw Colorado, Colorado,
Yeah.
lost to Sanford. I guess it was in double overtime. Did you see any of that stuff? Did you see any of those highlights? So I it's been an emotional like roller coaster
For
for me
Colorado.
at
Yeah.
least following Colorado and following Coach Prime, dude. But did you see any of that stuff, man? You got any
No,
thoughts
I
on
mean, I
that?
keep up on I see like the highlights and stuff. And I feel like when I was
Rado.
on board with them quite a bit at the beginning, and then we talked about this the last time we got together, but it was like so much hype around them that I didn't know if it was like healthy for the program.
For
So
sure.
I kind of backed off a little bit because I didn't know if I wanted to be a part of like toxic is the wrong word, but I fear for some of these kids a little bit. So I haven't. It's not like me watching a game is gonna make or break their life, but
For sure.
I got off the bandwagon a little bit.
Dude, so they were winning at halftime. I think they were winning at halftime, maybe like 17 nothing or something like that. I forget what it was. But they were
Yeah,
winning. And I think it was more than two scores, right? So it was significant. And they went into halftime, and I think Shodor, I think that's the quarterback's name, the son,
that's the son.
Coach Prime's son, tweeted something out at halftime about his merch, like, yo, come buy my merch or something like that. Something out, like
Oh
some
shit!
PR tweet out marketing his
Come cop
merchandise.
my new T-shirt.
Yeah. Yes. It's lit. And dude, they ended up they ended up losing in
Well, that's
double
what I'm saying. Like
overtime.
we're breeding this culture of look at me, at every level of sport now. Like, why don't you go into halftime, have a game plan for the next half instead of it's all money driven now. And I get it. I can't tell you if I was a 19, 20, 21-year-old kid that I wouldn't have the same mindset because I would be
Yeah.
stupid and young and naive. But like his dad or some coach or something needs to get in his ass.
Dude,
That's
yes.
horrible.
So I was reading some I guess it's X, right? I was reading some
Yeah.
X's on there were some replies on the original post, and dude, it was like, yeah, but they ended up losing, but I bet the locker room was lit at halftime, right? Like I bet you they had DJs and shit in the locker room at
That's what I'm
halftime. I bet
saying.
you it
Lil
was an
Wayne.
unreal show, right? They're at
Yeah.
home. Think about the amount of craziness that they probably, it's kind of sucks because then at the end of the day, it's like, wow, they got an L, they got an L there, dude. Like, so it's turning into more of a show as
Well,
as
what like
opposed
we've
to
gotten away from winning is important. I mean, even in baseball, like with teams are benefiting from tanking. I mean, what was it?
draft picks and stuff.
The Marlins and stuff. Like we got to do something to combat that. Like I think a perfect example of that is soccer or football over in Europe. Like you get relegated if you
Mm,
don't do well,
that's right,
and the
dude.
next team that's a lower level that's won gets to go up.
Promote.
But there's no there's no emphasis on like winning in American culture anymore. And I think it's going to be
Ooh, I
really,
like that.
yeah, it's going to suck for especially young kids coming up because, yeah, I want you to have fun. I preach that to all kids I give lessons to and stuff. But at a certain point, especially if it's your job, that your job is to win, or is your job to sell tickets? I don't know. Like,
Mm. Dude, yeah, is your job to sell tickets. So that kind of perfect segue right into
ooh,
what we were talking about with this parade of strikeouts article, right? So you
yeah,
had sent me something from the New York Times, and it talks about the sport's biggest problem, right? So I guess in these playoffs so far, the baseball playoffs, there's been an absurd amount of strikeouts,
yeah,
right? I guess more so of like a chess match as opposed to an action-packed product that the MLB is rolling out, and this is due to the rule changes. Right, they made the bases bigger to try to promote like stealing and action.
hmm,
Uh, they're talking about making the strike zone a little different. Right, they're bringing in robot
smaller
umps.
shifts. Yeah.
Yes, shifts, pitch clock, dude. So now they're talking about trying to make it even more appealing to the fans, trying to make it even more sexier because now baseball lost that pole position, right? So it's I don't know if it's
Yeah.
NFL first, then NBA,
It's
now
football,
basketball.
basketball, and baseball.
Okay, and now these guys are pretty much brainstorming ways to kind of not even it back out, but make it less of a pitcher's duel, right?
Hmm.
Am I missing anything, dude? Run me through
No,
that.
that's how it was. Like they say that the average team now carries 13 pitchers on a 25-man roster. I
It's not
think
26.
no, so it's 20. Well, I guess it's 26, but then in the playoffs it goes up a little bit.
Got you. Okay. Okay.
But yeah, 13 pitchers on a 26-man roster, and they're trying to limit that a little bit because you have all these guys now with the analytics and the data and the biomechanical stuff. Like these guys are at the peak of their performance based on some of the data that's been given to them and studied and
Yeah.
what have you. But these guys can go in for one inning at a time and go face the best hitter in the lineup or lefty on lefty or whatever for one inning. They can strategically implement whoever they want, and their arms aren't getting fatigued, or there's not as
Got it.
much strategy because this guy throws 97 to 101 and crazy the sweeper thing now that's completely sideways. And these hitters like something I thought about that in the playoffs. Like, yeah, there's a lot of strikeouts, but there's a lot more pressure. So
Okay.
these are elite hitters facing elite pitchers, and right now I think the pitchers have the advantage,
For sure.
especially with the pitcher or hitters are being taught swing path and plane, and the small ball stuff isn't a thing anymore.
Definitely. It's it says the sport still has a basic problem. Major League Baseball, which can already seem slow compared with football and basketball, includes less action than at almost any other point in its history, right? So these rule changes that they brought in, the bigger bases, the pitch clock, right? How many times you can pick over and stuff, it's not working. Obviously, the games are maybe getting a little bit shorter, right? That the average duration was like, a little over 3 hours. I think the
Yes,
average this year, like
24 minutes.
trimmed 24
Yeah.
minutes off, right? But they're starting to lose like viewership. They're starting to lose interest. Now it's like the third sport as opposed to the first, man. Like now they're talking about trying to make it more action, right? More hits, more runs scored, right? They want to sell, they want to sell seats, right? It's
Yeah.
all about generating revenue, dude. So now they're talking about fucking lowering the mound. to make it a little bit easier. Like, what do you got on that? Especially being a pitcher and understanding like different fields have different mounds, right? So like you might like a specific mound. Yeah, not all mounds are made equal, right?
Yeah.
But like if you're going to significantly lower the mound, I mean, what's that going to do to your plan of attack? What's that going to do to anything? Does that fuck everything up?
Yeah. So like big league mounds are like concrete. Triple A mounds are pretty good, but lower levels in college and stuff like the mounds are horrible. But big league mounds are pretty much set. Like
Okay,
you're going to dig in and you can't really dig
that's a
in.
good thing.
Yeah. There's
Okay,
no holes in your landing. Like they're pretty impressive. But a guy named Bob Gibson with the Cardinals in the '60s, they lowered the mound because of him. Multiple Cy Young winner, threw like 100 miles an hour back then. Like no one even had a chance. And they're like, hey, this isn't even fun for anyone. Bob Gibson's out here striking out 20 guys a game. Like seriously, you should look up his highlights sometime. It was ridiculous.
unfair.
Yeah, so they're kind of going back to that, but lowering the mound would. I mean, you can speak for this too, but I always tell this to like young kids. But hitting a baseball like on a tee, is a lot easier on a flat plane than it would be coming down.
Yeah,
And so we pitch from an elevated surface and we have that angle
that
on our
downward.
pitches. And if everything's flat, I mean, that's going to be easier to hit. And the depth on your changeups and sliders and fastball, sinkers, everything is going to diminish.
Okay, yeah, that,
And I think it's going to be easier to see, easier to hit. You're not going to look as intimidating on the mound if you're a big guy.
for sure. So
A
it's
lot
going
of
to be
different things.
a tactical advantage, right, to the offense, to the pitchers. What does dropping down to 11 arms on the team mean, right? So if they're already at 13, it would be an even mix, 13 pitchers, 13 position players, or
Hmm.
depending on where you're at in the season, right? If you can have 28 in the playoffs, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So dropping down, limiting the number down to 11 is going to mean that these pitchers have to go longer. They have to get their ass kicked, right? They have to
Yep.
eat up some innings. They can't just,
They got to pitch more.
yes, right? So these guys are getting bigger, stronger. They're throwing faster. They're, throwing better. Obviously, limiting the number of pitchers you can have, restricting that even more is going to put more pressure on the pitchers, obviously resulting in more offense, right?
Yeah, and same with the coaches in the front office, and they're going to have to be like, okay, we're going to option this guy down to bring up this guy. He threw 3 innings when he's used to only throwing 1 inning. He's down for 2 days. Like they're going to have to think of different scenarios strategically to get guys healthy. But like the other day, the Dodgers game was against the Diamondbacks in elimination, or I think it was the day before the elimination game. That Gratterall guy
Mm,
came in like the fourth inning
I played with him.
and pitched 2 innings. Rugned or what's his name? Uh,
Odor,
no, what's Gratterall's first name?
Bruce,
Yeah, Bruce or whatever. I
Bruce,
think it's a cool name, but yeah, he came in like the fourth, and I think you might see more of that stuff because he's like a 7, 8, 9 inning guy
for
who
sure.
throws 100 miles an hour, but in
Bowling
these
balls, dude.
leverage situations, you might see guys throwing fourth and fifth inning or fifth and sixth inning
That'd
and
be nuts.
burning one of your best arms.
That'd be real nuts, man. So the Angels, the Angels finished 73 and 89, right? Missed playoffs, ninth consecutive year. The assistant GM, the manager, I think they're out, stepping away.
Yeah, Phil Nevin.
Otani, we talked about it a little bit with him kind of getting some surgery done, right? He's got some elbow stuff going on. I
Yeah,
guess he kind of had some sort of Tommy John, some sort of something done on his elbow. Um, so the Angels still think that they have a shot at bringing back Otani. Um, are you going back there if you're Otani? What are you doing? What
I
are you
mean
doing in that situation?
this sounds horrible, but like kind of alluding to what we started this conversation on, it would depend on two things for me. The one major one would be money.
Yeah,
I think winning is as relevant as it should be anymore, unfortunately. And
it's
two,
about getting paid.
what is Mike Trout doing? What's the plan for Mike Trout? And so on and so forth. But money, I think, would be my first thing.
Yeah,
I think
dude.
$500 million contract. If not, I'll go somewhere else.
Get creative with it. Get creative with it, man. Yeah, that would be something. I don't know. I don't know when we're gonna like find out about that. I don't know when that's gonna start heating up, dude. Obviously, we're knee deep in
It's early,
baseball
yeah.
playoffs, but man, it's I'm excited to see kind of what happens going into this offseason with bidding wars and the hype.
Yeah. Craziest stat I think about this, and 11 games is still quite a bit, but the D-backs won, I think, 11 more games than the Angels. They won 84 games, and they're in the playoffs, and they beat the Dodgers, who won 103 or something.
That's crazy.
So that's what that's what I love about sports, just in general. Cliche Cinderella story, whatever. But the Diamondbacks were playing great baseball for the time being. And who knows what they're going to do? I think it's going to be a tough match for them with the Phillies, but
Yeah,
they beat one of the best teams ever in 3 games, three straight games. And
dude, I was hearing some stuff, online about this. Right? It's the fucking Dodgers were money. They were killing it. They were a lot of players want to roll, right? And then I guess maybe they had the first round bye or something like that in the playoffs, and they had some extended time off from when the
yeah,
season ended. And they're sitting in pole position, right? No one's touching these guys. And then they go into the series with the Diamondbacks, and I guess they get trounced.
yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of bullshit, because if you look at like the Rangers before they went into the playoffs, they were living like they were on the road for like 2 weeks or something, like living out of bags, out of suitcases. And I know it's like more glamorous than your average hotel,
Yeah,
but people were saying like, well, these guys had time off and they couldn't acclimate to jumping back in that quickly and playing that high level of baseball. Like, you're just making excuses. Like, look at the
yeah,
teams that were traveling and trying to fight for a spot to get into the playoffs. And I mean, the Rangers are scary right now, I think.
yeah. You think that might be the team to do it?
The way the Phillies are playing, um, I like them a lot. And honestly, like, if I had to like bet money, I think the Astros,
Okay,
probably, just because of their history there. I think that was like their 8th ALCS win or something. I don't know.
pretty dominant.
Did you see Justin Verlander's speech?
No,
Dude, he was on Fox Sports, and I don't know if Fox Sports just didn't care, but he was like around. He had a big champagne bottle in his hand, and there's 20 of his teammates around him, and he's got his goggles on and t-shirt, and everything's taped off. And he was like, "Hey, motherfuckers!" Like,
said that.
yeah, dude, he's every other word, and
I
he's like,
love
"They didn't
that.
think we could fucking do it, and I'm back here, and whatever."
Sick.
But yeah, and he's just started spraying.
That's awesome, dude. That's
Yeah, I
awesome.
wouldn't want to go up against that guy.
No,
And I think Corey Seager is maybe one of the best players.
he's doing it. He's
Yeah,
doing it. I always see that guy fucking doing it.
he
That
was
guy's
probably the
always
best hitter I
fucking doing
faced.
it.
And he was 17 years old, I think, when I faced him. He's always been
Big boy.
big time. But I liked watching the Diamondbacks because, McGuff and I were close. He's hurt right now. But I saw him on the field. He was he was jumping around crazy. And then,
It's awesome,
did,
dude.
did you play with Cattell Marte?
Yeah, you know what I did? I was never like on his team, but I was in Double A when he was like rehabbing and stuff.
Yeah.
So he would, we'd be in the lineup for a series, and then he would get called back up or something like that. I vividly remember that. And
I played like
Jackson,
parts of 3 different seasons with him. And yeah, watching him doing what he's doing now.
well, he's
I,
fucking massive now,
yeah,
dude.
he's
He's
he's big.
huge. Guy's
He's like
huge.
he's like top 20 player in Major League Baseball. He's turned into a stud.
Yeah.
I saw him not that long when I watched McGuff, and he took me down right outside the locker room and
Really?
hung out, and he came out, and we had this inside joke, and he immediately said it right when he saw me, and I hadn't seen
Oh,
him
that's
in
fucking great,
7
dude.
years, and
I love that.
gave me a big hug and had a baby on his hip, and we talked for probably 5 minutes. And I mean, he's a superstar. He didn't have to do that, but
Cool that he
it's
did,
cool to
though.
know I made an impact on him enough to.
For
He gave me a
sure.
big hug, and then Chris Taylor on the Dodgers.
How's he doing?
I haven't talked to him recently. I know he was building a house in
Good
the
for
LA
him.
area. I think he just got married, and he's doing well. But he came up in a big situation,
He hit a home
game on
run,
the
didn't he?
line. I think he hit a fly ball to the warning track, and dude, he just missed it. Like, it was probably 400 feet, crushed it. And every time I ever watch him on TV, he comes up with some crazy hit.
For sure. Or a big situation comes through.
Yeah. And like that, imagine his job. I know he got paid for it, but hey, you're going to play second base today. Oh, tomorrow you're playing right field and then third base. And can you catch?
Yeah, and it
Oh,
might
and
not be
also
at
you're
the
not
start
going
of
to
the game.
start the game, but we're going to bring you in the 11th inning in
Be
a tie
ready.
game with the bases loaded,
Be ready.
And he's produced unbelievably in that role.
Yeah.
That's got to be like one of
That's
the hardest roles in baseball.
that's got to
So
be
I watched
and
that
that's
series more than any series just because of the ties I had
for
with
sure.
ex-teammates.
Think about the pressure in that that stadium, those fans, that fan base, LA, Los
Yeah,
Angeles. It's probably nuts.
that would be
Probably
horrible.
nuts. Stars and shit all around, dude.
Yeah, people are fighting all the time in the stands. I don't know if you've seen that, but
No.
like when Giants games come into town and stuff, Giants fans, there's
People
like
are
people like
catching
stabbed.
fades.
And, yeah, it's bad. You can Google it, probably YouTube. Giants Dodgers fights in game.
Okay.
It's bad.
I'll check that shit out, dude. I was reading Joey Votto wants to come back for another year. 18th season, 40 years old. Um dude, what do you got on that? So career 294 hitter
294.
in over 2,000 games. And he's coming off of like a career worst 202 average, man. So his numbers were down and stuff. He wants to come
It's
back.
hard.
Obviously, he's a legend in the game of baseball, dude. You think that's you think that's gonna happen? You think he should part ways kind of now?
You go out when you're hot. I mean, I bet that was his worst year ever.
Yeah,
You know,
career worst 202.
even from his 39-year-old year. You know, so with him being the type of person I've heard he is, I bet he will want to come back until his body tells him he can't, and he will have an opportunity to do so until
He
he
doesn't want it.
doesn't want to. I mean, what he does for like the younger players and stuff coming up too is you can't really calculate that. The presence he has in the locker room and the impact he has on these young lives. I
Yeah,
think he's huge. I'm surprised at his home run numbers. I didn't know. I thought he'd have more than that. Cincinnati's a
356.
yeah. I thought he'd be closer to like 500 or something.
That'd be nuts. Yeah, I mean, still unreal numbers, dude. Um, but yeah, dude, I guess maybe we'll see what's in store, man. I guess maybe we'll see what happens, dude. So, was checking out some, baseball, college baseball, right? Schools with the most first round picks, all primarily, West Coast, Southern type schools, SEC, right? Top level talent. Um, just to name a few, dude. Just at the top, right? Like
Yeah,
Stanford, ASU, Vandy, Texas, Florida State, North Carolina, LSU, USC, UCLA. Just
Florida,
bunch of big name
Wichita State, and
schools.
Oklahoma on there.
B- bunch bunch of big name schools, right?
Yeah,
Um, dude, are you seeing? Obviously, NIL money is nuts, right? The top schools are gonna be able to get the most talent. Obviously, like you know, whatever it is. Do you think this is gonna kind of turn out to be like a monopoly of the top talent always staying in the SEC, always staying
yeah.
West
It's got
Coast
to.
down south, right? Is that gonna even kind of make it one sided even more going forward?
I think those first like 7 schools you listed: Stanford, ASU, Vandy, Texas, Florida State, UNC, LSU. You know, I think they're gonna.
Be juggernauts moving forward
Yeah,
still.
I think smaller schools. I mean, maybe Mississippi State or Fullerton, or Wichita State. Like, they're not going to have the type, like, especially like with big time football programs and stuff,
Mm,
where kids want to go to and be a part of that. And like Wichita State doesn't even have a football program. I
that's
don't know. I don't.
crazy.
I don't
They're
know if
nasty at
Fullerton does
basketball, though,
either.
right?
Yeah, they're really good at basketball.
The Shockers,
Yeah, shockers. People always ask
shocks
me, "Are
up.
you a KU or K State fan?" I say, "I like Wichita State," but they mean football. But yeah, I think it's gonna monopolize a lot of that because if you're some big time recruit, I used to always, if a kid got drafted in the 10th round, 12th, 15th round or something out of high school, I'd always push for them to go play professionally because
Really?
you don't know if you're going to get hurt or if you're going to
Yeah.
what's going to happen in college, and then you'll just be like a what if.
Yeah.
But now that's got to change because hey, you want to go make $1 million in NIL money, and I don't know if baseball players are getting that yet, but they have a chance to make good money
For
when they
sure.
necessarily wouldn't in the 22nd round out of high school.
100%. 100%. Might be a little bit more lucrative than like,
Decision, yeah,
yeah, bypassing the high school draft, going making that NIL money, dude. Um, so I saw this tweet or this X by
X
Next Level Baseball. Right, we've talked
love
about
them.
some of his
Yeah,
stuff before, their stuff. This pertains to players and scouting, recruiting. Right, somebody's coming to watch you play. So players, every time you play, you should ask yourself, if a college coach or MLB scout watched me play today, what did they think? Did I play with energy? Did I perform? Did I show feel, competitiveness? Did I play like I care about winning? And so obviously those are words. Um, how do you go about doing that? Right. So obviously you can show up and give your best every day. But what is it? Did I show feel? Did I show competitiveness? Did I play like I care about winning? How do you show that? How would you like verbalize that to somebody listening to this where it's like, oh, you don't have to have the best talent. You don't have to be the best baseball player in the field, but you could maybe grab somebody's attention by having feel, competitive, look like you care about winning. How would you do that? How would you explain that to one of your kids?
yeah. Maybe not the feel part, and it's really old school. But I would tell a kid to go YouTube Pete Rose highlights. That guy, Charlie Hustle. You
Yeah.
know, it didn't matter. I mean, in the All Star game, did you see the highlight of the All Star game? He's trucking the dude at home plate.
Yes. Fucked him up too.
Yeah, I mean,
I
that's what I
think he
said. Like
did.
maybe,
Like he messed him up. I think
maybe
he,
not feel, but he was like, I'm gonna score this run. So every little thing he did, pop fly, he knows he's gonna be out. He's on second base. He's hustling. He's getting dirty. Everything he can do to try to win a ball game, he was doing, and he played for a long time. And I think he's got single season or career hit record. Um, but that guy did every little thing right on the field. He messed up off the field, obviously.
for sure.
But I would try to tell kids to do that. I mean, you don't know how long your body's going to cooperate. You don't know how long you're going to be able to even play this game. You could roll an ankle on a the base path or something and never get your speed back or whatever. So it's hard to play like that, but you got to play like you
Your
might
hair's
not
on
get to play
fire.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I heard something about, I forget who said it. I forget where it was. Something about, I think it might have been Derek Jeter, right? That he would play hurt, he would play through shit, and he wasn't going to come out because he treated it like, hey, there's some kid here that is paying to see me for the first time
Yeah.
or is here to
I
see
used
me
to
play
think
for the
that.
first time. And so, like, I got to play through this shit and I got to play hard because I might only have this one chance to play in front of this kid or this person one time. And now that I'm kind of like looking back, thinking about that, I'm like, shit,
Hmm.
I like that. Um, maybe maybe a kid can start kind of playing like that, having that mindset where it's like, I don't know, man. These people might only see me for this time.
Yeah, you could be imaginative with it. Like look in the stands, and if you see a middle aged guy, maybe it's a dad watching his son or something, but you could be like, "That's a scout for the New York Yankees." I know that's a scout for the New York. Like,
Yeah, I used to do that, dude. I
yeah,
used to do that. My goodness, I used to do that. I used to
yeah,
be like,
make
yo, who am
something
I
up.
playing in front of today in
Yeah.
college, right?
Oh my God, LSU is here. That's LSU. I know
Yeah,
that.
what scouts are here? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but if you
Always
just go
did
out
that.
there, yeah, it's not gonna work. So yeah, I think you hustle obviously. Ch- if you pop up or if you hit a home run, I love when kids act like they've done it before. If I was a scout and I
So
saw a guy
badass.
hit a walk off home run or something, you showed emotion and you're pumped up. Sure, that's awesome. Or if you rope a double or something, like act like you've done it before. Be like, hell yeah, I've
I
done
love
that
that.
before. I'm the man.
I love it. Um, next little tweet or X I wanted to talk about. So this more so has to talk about like mental toughness, mindset type stuff. Um, so I heard this story. Actually, I was meditating. Right, I used this app,
Nice.
and this dude named Jay Shetty brought up Mariano Rivera, and he said that his mindset going into these like closing situations in New York Nueva York would be he would treat it like any other situation, right? It wouldn't get the situation kind of wouldn't the external wouldn't affect the internal, right? So the noise wouldn't get to him, the situation, the pressure, all that shit. He would just treat it like any other appearance, any other like spring training, backyard, whatever it is. He would just kind of treat it like a general appearance. And that's what he was able to kind of like latch onto and focus onto. And, he had a singleness of purpose in his mind, right? He wasn't distracted and all over the place. And that's kind of how he was able to like dominate the situation, show up and just show out, do what he needed to do, focus on one thing and kind of, lock it in. So Adam Law, right? Who
Yeah, I
is
remember him.
he's fucking awesome, dude. I think he is one of the assistant coaches now at BYU for
Okay.
baseball, and he you know focuses on the mental skill side of things. So he had a tweet or an X that said a key component of mental toughness lies in one's ability to become aware of distractions and then return their attention to the task at hand. And I absolutely loved it. And I think it was almost on the same day that I read about or I heard about this Mariano Rivera, like kind of just focusing on like, hey, this is just a general appearance, not trying to freak out. What did you think about, dude? In any type of situation, you're on the mound. Like, what did you try to lock in on to just focus on the task at hand and not get so like caught up in the moment?
Yeah, I mean, it took me a long time to get to that point, but I would give myself a minute, to soak in my surroundings, whether I was at like a Unreal Stadium with 30,000 people or a dumpy stadium with 14 people. I gave myself a chance to look around because I think it could be controversial opinion, but Mariano Rivera came from nothing, from Panama, and I think we might have talked about this, but there's a video I saw that almost made me want to cry a little bit with Mariano Rivera talking about he had a piece of cardboard and that was his glove, and he was showing the guy
Oh, that's
interviewing him,
right.
yeah, how he was pounding it in and cut little holes in it. And he's like, man, this is like the best. This piece of cardboard right here would have given me, you know, hours and hours of playtime.
I think
And
you're
then when
right.
he got to the actual big leagues and he had these contracts and pitching in Yankee stadiums and glove deals and all this stuff, he'd revert back to thinking of that
It's
first
crazy.
cardboard glove. So I think that perspective helped him a lot, and that helped me in tough times, tough situations. I would, be focused on the task at hand, but also think of like a worse time in my life, and I'd be
Okay.
like, dude, I'm on a mound right now. People, whether it was to see me or just the team, whatever, but they paid to get in here. I got a jersey on my back that says my name on it. So
Yeah,
perspective for me really helped me calm down.
I like it
Like there's times you can't, you know, get over the the height of the situation you're in,
for sure.
but just taking that couple seconds and stepping off the mound, taking a deep breath, looking around, being like, "Hey, it's okay. Like you got this,"
I love it.
and thinking of how cool it was instead of like how scary it was, helped me.
I like it, dude. So I played. I got to play with Jayson Werth
Hmm.
for a season, 2018, and I used to just fucking annoy that guy, pick his brain, ask him all these questions, dude. Because I grew up in Philadelphia, and he was there. Right, he won the World Series with the Phillies. Man, I was at the
Yeah,
parade. Like, it's incredible. Uh, yeah, dude. And I just remember peppering him with questions. And I'm like, dude, what do you think about? Like, what's your mindset when you're up? Like when you're hitting, dude. What is your thought process? What are you sitting on? What are you looking for? What the fuck makes you so good?
yeah.
Right? And he was cool enough, dude. He was the best. And I remember he told me that his thought process and what he thought about when he was going up to the plate or during the at bat, whatever it was in between pitches, just black out and do my dance. That's what he thought about. Black out, do my dance. So like he would turn
I
his
get
mind
it.
off,
Yeah.
he would just black out and he would do his dance. He called his dance like his setup, his stance in the box. He would just black out and do his dance. Turn his fucking brain off and just do his dance. And I'm like, dude, it's amazing. That is amazing. It's amazing.
Well,
I'm
who
up
is
there,
the?
thinking
I
about
forgot
fastballs.
his name, and you can help me out with this. But the left-handed pitcher or left-handed hitter that um played with the Rockies when I was there, and he came down and rehabbed in AAA.
Oh, Murphy, dude.
Yeah, Daniel Murphy.
Remember
You
I
had
was
me. Yeah, you had me ask him, like,
Yes.
his approach, and
Yes.
he sat
Yes.
down with me for, like, 5 minutes, and I typed out this whole
Yep.
text message to you about
Yeah, I
what he
wrote it down in
thought.
my book.
Yeah, what his mindset was, all that stuff, and,
I
like,
could tell it to you right now.
yeah, go, do it.
Okay, so he would sit like right center. He would
Yeah,
sit right center. That's where he was. That was his fastball timing. So that's what he would think about. He would be on time for a fastball in the strike zone, and he would look to hit it in the right center field gap. And then if it was a changeup or something off speed, he would look to do damage with it. Like,
mhm,
that would be probably closer to the line, right? He was primarily focused on pulling the baseball at that particular time when I asked you to go talk
yeah,
to him about his approach. Cause I would get on first base and I would be like, fuck, Mr. Murphy, dude.
I
I
know.
love you, dude. You're awesome. You're a left. I
He's
think
such a
he
good
had a
hitter.
crazy story too. I think he went in the 13th round or something. I don't know if
Yeah,
he went to Jacksonville, but like I love that guy. I try to emulate the way he played. And, whenever I have the opportunity or had the chance, I would fucking ask those guys.
yeah,
I would ask those guys, yo, Ichiro, how do you bunt? What do you think about when you bunt? Rod Carew, what do you think about when you bunt, dude? Like I don't care, man. And I got that shit written down. So it's crazy.
yeah.
It's crazy, man. I always wanted to know like what those dudes thought about or did that made them so goddamn good when they would
I
go
think
up and
that's
hit.
yeah, that's great advice for a young kid too, like, have confidence, but put aside your ego, especially in the presence of someone that has been doing it longer and with more success than you
For
have.
sure, dude.
Don't be afraid. Be humble enough to go ask for advice. Because when I went up to him, I mean, I was in the locker room with him, and I was like, "Hey, Murph," or I don't know what I called him.
Mr. Murph.
I was like, "Yeah, hey, sir. I know you're super established and whatever, but I was like, my buddy's actually on their team, left-handed hitter." And he's like, "Oh yeah, Miller. Yeah, good swing." And I was like, "Can you just tell me something that I could tell him about what's made you the way you are?" And he was like, all about it.
I even remember off the top of my head a little like joke comment he made about you, and like he just the only thing he cares about is looking good for his wife with his shirt off, right? Hey, Murph, are you working out? Are you like gaining weight? What's going on?
Yeah,
I don't care as long as I look good to my wife. As long as my wife thinks I look good, something like that. Like I
he
was
always
like,
said that. Yeah,
that's awesome, dude. That's awesome. I love people like that. Like just
yeah,
laid back
yeah. He
good
was
people.
like, because he didn't have like
It wasn't
Giancarlo Stanton's body.
physically imposing, right? He wasn't
Yeah,
like, oh my god, that guy's 6'8" and he's got muscles and right?
yeah,
He's
and
not Judge.
he was like a normal. He looked like a normal dude,
Yes,
and he had a little belly or whatever on him, and yeah, he came out of the shower one time, or someone gave him some crap, and he's like, "Hey, as long as my wife likes me."
that's right.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, that's a good point."
That was from
And he
2018.
yeah, and he was happy. That was my first year in AAA, and yeah, he was with us for a couple weeks. And then he went back to the Rockies and started crushing balls
So I
again.
think he
But
just retired. I think he's done now. Like he came
really,
back, he played. I think he played in the Atlantic League. He played some indie ball. Then he came back. He got re-signed, and then I think he just called it quits officially this year, and that's it. But dude, I had to had to like jump on that opportunity. I'm sharing the field with a dude that I looked up to as I am coming up through, high
hmm
school, college, minor leagues, whatever it was, where it'd be like, hey, I'm trying to emulate that guy. I like the way that guy plays, hits, goes about his business. He's a different cat, right? He's walking, you can tell by the way he like walks around and talks and stuff. That guy doesn't care what people think about him.
not at all.
That's
I think that's what I
beautiful,
appreciate him so much.
dude.
Yeah,
And I would get on first base and ask him stuff, and he would just talk to me like like
yeah,
my
he's a good
God,
person.
my God, awesome, 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 man. I wish that dude the best. Um, yeah, I love it, man. Figured I'd ask you about it, dude. So I got two more little things here, right?
Yeah,
So there was another tweet, another X about the next level, right? So college baseball, the next level, professional baseball, whatever it is, but like everyone has talent at the next level. What is your separating trait, tool, or strength, and how are you going to develop it? Right. So that's kind of more so buying into who you are as a player, what your skill set is, um, and like marrying or falling in love with your role, what kind of player you are. Right. So for me, it came down to like I had to be a defense base runner, high contact, hit for average type player, and in order for me to get the best out of whatever level I was at, and surpass that level and move on, like I had to separate myself by kind of buying into like my separating trait,
And
right?
that took time, right?
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah,
like that's my advice for those young kids when they're 17 years old and they're still growing, they're still getting stronger, maturing, and they might be like a gap to gap hitter, but that doesn't mean they go to 1 year of college and they put on some weight and fix their swing, get with a good hitting coach or something. And but yeah, I think when you get to a certain level, you definitely need to be like, hey, I don't hit home runs.
yeah,
Why am I still trying to hit home runs? Or I don't throw 97 miles an hour. I have a good sinker. I have a decent changeup. I need to pitch to with what I have. But for a young kid to swallow that pride is very hard. But the sooner they can do it, doesn't mean you can't keep working on velocity or strength or whatever. Your mental side, you always need to work on that. But you need to swallow that pride a little bit and have that talk in the mirror,
hundred
that
percent,
self reflection.
100%, dude. That was something that I had to like not struggle with, but that was something that was hard for me to kind of buy into throughout the entirety of my career. Like, hey, you're a 9-hole hitter. You're a leadoff 9-hole hitter. Whatever it is, whatever the situation is, like, can't be going up there expecting to drive shit. Not drive shit, but hit home runs and be somebody you're not. This other thing. So this is attention student athletes. Always remember, you are the captain of your ship.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there's 7 rules of life here that this guy posted out. Right. Number 1, let it go. Ignore them. Give it time. Don't compare. Stay calm. It's on you, and smile. Right. So this is kind of like the seven rules of life. Right. Let it go. Ignore them. Give it time. Don't compare. Stay calm. It's on you, and smile. Right. So something that kind of the ones that jump out to me, I guess, right, the most, at least in our situation as it pertains to the 9-hole podcast, is don't compare.
I was gonna say that was the one that jumped out to me by far
Right.
the most.
So if we are, 9-hole hitters or, average baseball players, right? It would be tough to compare. What does comparing do? Right. In our situation, how we were, like, people were better than us. People had better opportunities than us. They fucking threw harder. They could hit better. They could hit it farther,
Yep.
whatever it is. Like, don't compare. The only person you should try to beat is the person you were yesterday. Right?
Big.
It's hot. That might
Yeah.
be. That's big. Another one is it's on you. Right? So only you are in charge of your happiness. So as this kind of relates to maybe a high school kid, college kid, minor league kid, kind of grinding through the levels, trying to get to that next level. Um, well, I mean, don't compare. It's on you. Stay calm. All that type of stuff. What are you getting out of that? To kind of pass on. Obviously,
Yeah.
don't compare is the biggest, right?
That's something I really, really, really struggled with in professional baseball was the comparison portion of that. Because I was a free agent sign, I had decent stuff, especially when I was younger. But some guy that had more money invested in him or whatever would get opportunity after opportunity, and I'd or some guy got called up when I had better numbers or was
That
pitching
sucks.
better,
Yeah,
and I was like, what's going on? But towards the end of my career, I was just like, I changed that perspective to just thinking I was blessed, and now in the real world, I would give anything to be back shagging baseballs
yeah.
in BP when I used to be like, oh man, like I gotta go back out for BP. And
Run around,
yeah, no,
shag.
it's ridiculous, but yeah, I think let it go. I think give yourself a little bit of time. If you get your ass kicked on the mound or you strike out 4 times or something, yeah, be pissed off. If you're not pissed off, there's probably something wrong with you. But don't dwell on it. Don't bring that in the next day. And like you said, try to compete against who you were yesterday.
I love that. 100%,
That's
dude.
awesome.
100%, man. Well, dude, that's all I got, man. Um, anything else you wanna touch on or throw in there, dude?
No,
Are you watching NFL today at all?
Y'all watch a little NFL. I got that red zone thing, so I can see like who's
It's hot.
close to scoring. I got to go do a clinic. The lady just texted me, and we're supposed to do it from 2 to 3 my time, and she's like, "Hey, I'll see you guys at 3." And I was like, "No,"
No, you won't.
and I got to drive down to Dallas tonight. Um, so I got to get there at some point, and I still got to study because I got all those tests and shit. So I'm hoping that
Grinding.
she didn't change the time on me.
Grinding. Okay, dude.
People,
Uh-oh. All right, man. Well, that's all we got, dude. So appreciate everybody tuning in, man. David, I appreciate you being here, brother. We'll link up again next weekend, man. Ooh, splurve.
yeah. If you throw
Splurve.
it like this, it will do that.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in here. We'll catch you guys next world.